From the Middle is proud to be a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hey, Middlers, and welcome to episode number 144 of From the Middle. From the Middle is a comedy, culture, entertainment, and interview-style podcast hosted by three middle-class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of our lives with a point of view that's somewhere in the middle. In this week's episode, Dylan talks about what it was like to visit his daughter's preschool. We talk a little bit about being late to and still not understanding the tiny food trend. Kendall brings up our favorite topic, why the McDonald's milkshake machines aren't working and the conspiracies that lie therein. And I talk about the wonderful weekend I had riding the bike on the first nice day in a really long time and going to see the Ohio State Buckeyes play the Michigan Wolverines in men's basketball. Enjoy this episode. We also talk about Peter Tingle.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
I just want to apologize to all the listeners of last week's episode for the weird energy that I brought. I wasn't feeling it. I don't know what was happening. Did you guys think it was bad?
I had 14 direct messages that it was people's favorite episode ever.
What?
Are you serious?
No, heavens no.
Golly.
Absolutely not.
Man.
That didn't happen. And you know why? Because people don't send us messages.
That's
It wasn't even, the joke wasn't even that people liked it. It was that as if we would have gotten messages.
Well, I was surprised to hear, Dylan, that you said that it wasn't as bad as it felt recording. So that's good.
You know what? That's often the case. Like I go back and do the editing, which is really just me adjusting volumes and things. But I do listen through it, and consistently the ones that felt really weird coming out are never that bad. Now there's some that we thought were really awesome that people apparently didn't like, so that happens too. But I don't think things were that bad.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes the guest or the subject matter saves us. I just referred the A.G. Ford episode out to somebody today has a youngster in high school considering CCAD. And I'm like, here's like 8 episodes, but if they're only going to hit play on one of them, check out the one with AG. And so sometimes you have like that, or Kellen Erskine, or we just have a really great topic that we have a ton of fun with that saves us. And then other times we don't. So, we run with it.
Well, that's the crapshoot that is being a listener of this show. Thank you for joining us for another week. If you're curious, the episode to which Dylan was just referring, that's episode number 87 with New York Times bestselling children's book illustrator A.G. Ford, my friend and my college roommate. That was a great one. And Kellen Erskine, professional comedian Kellen Erskine, that was the very next episode, number 88. But it is good to be with you all again. I'm going to do our call to action at the top. We have not heard from folks in a while, so it would be great. Send us a voicemail, send us an email, or comment on the podcast on whichever platform you're watching or listening to this. That would be great. We love hearing from you, and we would love for you to weigh in on the things that we're talking about. Sometimes it's kind of weird. Like sometimes there's a huge influx of voicemails and responses and emails from folks, and other times it's crickets. So we'd love to hear from you, and give us some suggestions for topic episodes or anything you want to hear. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. And if you maybe only follow us in a podcast player, anywhere that you see our social media links should be, you can connect with us on maybe another platform that you listen on that's, maybe not just the podcast player, not just Facebook. So if you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, if you like YouTube, you can find that in our links going there. You can also see our phone number if you want to leave us a voicemail. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Follow us wherever. You can also direct message us on social media. We love that too.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So what do you
And the
got,
Facebook
guys?
group. So there is some traction that occurs on the Facebook group, and I think that is worth mentioning to people. So there's fun. It tends to be some geek stuff, and then just a lot of like weird, funny stuff that people post. I feel like we're the junk drawer for that kind of thing. That no one that they don't know who's going to appreciate this weird dank meme, and then they're like, oh, from the middle for the middlers. Those people love this crap.
Yeah.
So
I know just the
find us
community
there
of
as well.
people that will enjoy this.
So many good posts, and every now and then you'll get somebody asking when Amazon is hiring next. So you never know what you're going to find in that group. It's always a lot of fun.
So what do you got, guys? What's going on?
Well, so I had to start. Gory, you dropped by our house recently, and we were chatting a little bit about my daughter's she's in preschool, and we had, dads can visit or a special family member can visit, but it was kind of geared towards dads. So we were chatting a little bit as you were asking her about, her preschool experience. And we typically just sort of explain she tolerates it as the best sort of way. She's sort of apathetic towards preschool. You catch her on a good day, she might think of something she enjoyed. Most of the time, so, oh, what'd you do? I don't know, then she runs off. Anyways, so I was in visiting, and so the first thing you can kind of tell the teachers teed up. The dads are kind of in a circle around the normal area where they sit and interact with the teacher. So they're going to do a few minutes of the kids kind of showing off some of the things that they're learning with the dads sort of circled around. And then they're going to release the kids to the dads to kind of go play and do different crafts and activities and stuff. So most of that, she was really just kind of waving me off. Like, you need to get out of here. Don't worry. Don't look at me or worry about what I'm doing. All the other kids are kind of honed in to like show off to their dads. And she's just kind of like, get. You don't have to watch. It's fine. So we get,
which there's already an awkward half circle of dads. I can imagine you're kind of like sizing each other up and making snap judgments about one another and like, hey man, how's it going? Yeah.
And of course I don't feel like a dad in the whole group, in the sense that, like, there was two guys that would qualify for McDreamy and McSteamy from Grey's Anatomy. The rest of them look very blue collar and weathered, like real dads. And then there's me that somehow just is there, like the pudgy kid who somehow had a child. And so, yeah, you're already sizing each other up because two are dressed up, the rest are blue collar, and I'm the guy in like athletic pants and shorts and a hoodie. And so anyways,
that's
so we
about to try to tell all the other dads, have you tried regarding it?
Yeah.
Bad joke. Sorry. Moving on.
Anyways,
I interrupted you for this.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. This is a podcast. If anyone's familiar with Seinfeld and you watch like 10 minutes of them talking about relish or no relish on a sandwich, you're like, what is this show? This is it. This is the show. This is the podcast right here. So if you're tuning in, this is the podcast. There's nothing to wait for. Yeah, go ahead.
It's mostly Kendall trying to be funny and then awkward silence after. So that's
well, we all have a hit or miss ratio, right?
Just like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I'll try to wrap this up. So
no, we're engaging. We're interacting. We're building. We're building it up. This is good.
This is good. So we do the thing, and the kids show off for a little bit, and then you're sort of released, the kids to the adults and Dylan. And so, the first thing that I've noticed, she's honed in on, there's this new toy. It's a toy workbench, and a couple of the kids are kind of honed on it, but she's really wanting to see it because it's a new toy in the class. So we go do that for a little bit. We go do some other things. They want us to finish a craft. She's putting like gallons of Elmer's glue on this craft, as part of finishing it. She wants to go back to the workbench after. So it's fine. I'm just trying to kind of let her show me around and do whatever. And you can tell she's enjoying me playing with her with the workbench for a little bit. And then it kind of turns into like, she looks up at me and goes, you can play with other toys if you want. Kind of thing. Like, I'm only, mind you, I'm not even there for the full like 2.5 hours of her day. I'm there for an hour, and we're not even at the end of the hour. And she's like, you can find other toys if you want.
You can go play with some other toys.
You can go play with some other toys. And one of her friends in class, his name is Jewel. Her name is Jewel. And after I don't take the bait on that one, a few minutes later, she's like, you can go talk to Jewel's dad, as if I didn't take the first hint. And so now I need to take the second hint, like go find. So then I'm like, okay, I'll go look at these posters like 2 feet away.
Right.
So she's doing that, and she's kind of trying to figure out the names of the tools. So I kind of slide back over, and I'm telling her the ones that I do know. Fortunately, on a kid's play set, by the way, another little kid and his dad come over, and he's helping answer the questions that I won't admit that I don't know of the play tools, because some of them are easy. Like there's the hammer and there's a saw, and then some of them I'm like, ooh, yeah, this is. Where's Ron Swanson when you need a little help with some of these? And so it almost sort of happens where, my daughter's saying, what is this one? And then the other little boy is like, what is this one? And then the other dad starts to answer the question, and I'm almost chiming in like right after, as if I knew. Oh yeah, right. It's a I can't even think of a fake name of a tool. Yeah, it's a rotor saw, whatever. We'll just throw that in right after he did. So thankfully he was there to bail me out on a couple tool names for the kids play set. But it was a good time. If I ask her about it now in hindsight, it's mostly a positive experience. She doesn't have any bad notes.
That's good.
So it was a lot of fun. That's what's been going on with me. That was one of the recent highlights.
Yeah. So Dylan went to preschool, and Dylan learned things.
I did. Absolutely.
Through play, which is what I hear a fantastic way that Dylan's learned.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm very thankful. I didn't have a toy workbench that I can recall. So
obviously, yeah.
Obviously. So I learned something new that day. I do have value in life. I'm sure of it. I'm sure there's something I offered.
Oh, come on, Dylan. You do.
It was fun though. It was a good
You're
time.
You're a bright young girl of the future.
She was really sweet about it. And for the most part, and I think enjoyed having me there. So it was nice. Did you guys ever do any like you go to school with them and you got to just sort of follow along with them for a little bit kind of things?
Yeah. I've done also at the preschool. We did like a Halloween trick or treat from classroom to classroom kind of thing that I showed up for and did. There's been a couple of things like that I've done, and I feel like you hit the nail on the head with something that you said, like so I had to like turn around and like pretend to be interested in these posters that were, because I never know what to do with myself. Like when there's any kind of downtime, I'm like, I'm going to go over here and look at these things and pretend to be interested in like some other kid's finger painting. For some reason, like that kind of thing just doesn't tug at my heartstrings. And sometimes I feel like I'm robotic because I'm like, I feel like people are enamored with this stuff. And like they can see like the beauty and the development of a young child, even if it's not yours, just the wonder of it all. And I'm just like, I think I'm supposed to have my eyes this direction looking at this thing, and I'm going to count to 30 because that's enough time to people around me will think that like I'm really into it, but not so much that they think that I'm a weird guy at a preschool.
Yeah. It turns into a slight tilt of the head with a smile and a little bit of a head bob and an awe, like, oh, yeah, that's great.
So I find myself trying to like play a part often in those situations when I'm not that interested. I'm just trying to not come off as weird.
Yeah. And you know, the advantage of most of the dads there that were the more the blue collar, you know, they still have some grease on their fingers because they came from work or whatever. That personality type doesn't have to put up the facade, right? It's just this kind of it's kind of this like middling group that we fall in for whatever reason, that like we're the ones that feel like we need to like, I need to be smiling and nodding and, oh, look at this drawing up here. Oh, that poster, were you working on that earlier? You know, and you're sort of playing that
yeah, because those first guys know what a crescent wrench is. They don't have to pretend.
Right. Yes.
But this whole thing feels like a Larry David episode, both the aspect of like sizing yourself up with the other dads and sort of looking at ages and what you can guess professions are and how engaged they are with their kids' lives. But then also hearing what goes on inside of Kendall's brain, who handful of episodes back, we said, what would be the one thing you'd be most surprised to find yourself doing at some point in life? And Kendall's was child education in any capacity. And so he's like, I don't want to be here. I don't see the value of this. It looks like a crappy finger painting to me. What's going on? And how long do I have to endure it?
It was interesting.
Well, it's not that I don't see the value. It's that I very much see the value. Do we have to carry on? Do we have to keep talking about the value? Can't we just accept that I find it valuable and move on?
Yeah, I did also find it interesting as a final thought there that I was the only one that was kind of like, I had on like track pants, a hoodie, my coat, ball cap, tennis shoes. I was the only one dressed up sporty in a kind of sporty way, which there's always that parent. And the other ones were either dressed up or very clearly like had come from blue collar, where a little greasy, little grimy, whatever. And first of all, me being the sporty parent was never something that would have crossed my mind. And second, I realized only sporty in the same way that Kevin James in a full matching tracksuit is sporty, right? So it's like, it's still King of Queens. You're still not, we know you're not going out for a jog, Kevin James. So anyways, but it was a good time.
Right.
Speaking of that same visit, so one of my favorite things to do when I go to Dylan and Bree's house, and I think it kind of goes both ways, but after we catch up, we end up just sort of sharing with each other the YouTube videos or channels or things that we've seen that we think the other person would enjoy. And so we found ourselves doing that very thing. And I think I could sit and do that with you guys for hours. Oh, have you seen this? Or have you seen this? Or did you see the clip from Jimmy Fallon the other night when blah, 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 right? So I forget who brought it up, Dylan, but you were aware of this. It was either you or Lily, my oldest, because she was with us. And she goes, oh, have you seen this tiny food thing? And I said, what? And you knew about this. So there's this like,
it was definitely Lily, to give her credit.
Okay.
And I was aware of that, but also a spinoff because I said, yeah, and the felt tiny food. Yeah. Which you're like, what? And then we ended. So go ahead. But that's where.
So this is like a whole corner of the internet where tiny food trends, it's almost like the ASMR equivalent, but a visual to seeing someone cook, and what they're cooking can be just micro-sized and not real food. So they use felt and they make little felt food objects, like a little felt carrot. And it looks like they're cutting a very tiny felt carrot into little carrot circles and then throwing it into a stew, and they're stirring it. And then the felt smoke rises from the pot. Or you can actually make food. Like the one video we watched was sushi in a very, 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 very tiny little micro-sized kitchen with small utensils. And instead of like a whole pot of rice, you're putting in a pinch of rice into a little tiny pot and putting a little tea light underneath it to actually heat it and cook the rice. I didn't even know this was a thing. And it's like a whole corner of the internet. And I found myself both astounded and laughing hysterically that this is even a thing.
Man, there are some interesting passions out there, aren't there?
Well, and those are totally different too. And even although they are tiny food related, one of them is creating this whole felt stop motion experience, which is very clearly different than somebody actually cooking and getting tiny portions of sliced carrots and avocados. Because you were commenting, Corey, you were like, I'd love to see the full kitchen that they're cooking in. Do they just have like a shoebox that's designed like a kitchen, and that's the angle that you're seeing them cook in? So you're just seeing you're seeing normal sized fingers cook in a tiny kitchen with tiny like toy utensils, stuff that like a Barbie would hold or whatever. And then the felt stop motion is really impressive. Like they'll do things like the smoke and if you're on YouTube, this is a great time to be watching one of our episodes on YouTube. It's super impressive. Corey pulled up a video of the felt kind of stop motion version, and even the little pot that they're showing the spaghetti being cooked in is like bubbling up, and they pour spaghetti in a strainer and you see the water go off the strainer, even though it's felt. They grate little mini Parmesan cheese. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Some of the stuff that people find the time to do. I'll put it that way.
And Kendall, did you even know this was a thing?
Kendall might be frozen.
Yes, actually. I've seen. Am I frozen?
No, you're good.
My internet's being all weird again.
You're good now.
Am I good? No, I've come across I have not seen the felt stuff that you guys just saw, but I've seen people playing with toys before, and I have seen actually cooking tiny foods. Like I've seen tiny pancakes and things being flipped. All either part of just like random, sure, why not? I'll click that on YouTube stuff. But I think I've seen my wife watching one of these random videos at one point.
So this is the part. So I'm now showing the sushi one, and this is the one that I thought would be hilarious. Like, because you can see that faux wall right there behind her. Like, I want to know what's going on just beyond that. Like, her living room's a mess. Her cats are running everywhere. Her kids are being ignored.
Why do you assume it's a she and she has cats?
This person has a lot of time on their hands, I feel.
Okay. Yes, they are. They are definitely, I prefer my cats kind of people.
And if anything, probably much like the success of other podcasts and not ours, some people are very good at finding an actual niche and creating content in a real niche or niche, as we've discussed before. We're sort of generically comedy culture, family friendly, tell family stories. This isn't like, oh, I'm going to make a cooking channel, because then they're going to go, no, there's like a million of them. And like the best one is, for Kendall, we've talked about Babish before. This is like, oh, I got a spin on it. And then people do this stuff. And so now you're captivated because you're not just watching Gordon Ramsay or Babish or somebody cooking something for the millionth time. You're watching somebody cook. They're literally using tweezers to like plate the sushi that they're about to roll with. It's just, and they have a tiny spoon in the tiny little mixing bowl. And when they do the little sesame seeds at the end, that's like crazy impressive because they're tiny. It blows my mind.
Yeah. Wow. Kudos to the tiny food people.
Yeah.
They're probably feeding these dishes to the people who make like houses for hamsters. And I don't know if you guys have seen those or not.
No. All new part of the internet.
So I would love to hear from you folks. If you knew this was a thing, or if you find enjoyment. Listen, we all have our stuff. I have a 7,000 piece Millennium Falcon behind me that I spend hours and hours and hours putting together. So I'm not, it's just
inside of a fancy new display case.
Tell me about that, because if you haven't, we have lots of bonus content on our YouTube page called Midbits, and some of those are tangents. One of the Midbits is you assembling the UCS Millennium Falcon, which took roughly how many days?
It was around 12 to 14 hours. So Kendall very kindly put all the videos together. I did a time lapse of each, and each time I sat down to do it was probably an hour or so. And there were 12 of those videos. So around 14 hours to put the whole thing together. But I stored it in the basement in the laundry room for a while, out of the way of where kids throw balls and have Nerf gun fights, because I was afraid it would get destroyed. while I waited on my fancy display case to arrive from the UK, which showed up last week. And I put it together, and we're going to release a unboxing, assembly, and install video later. But wickedbrick.com is a great place to get display cases for your Lego sets. I believe, I could be corrected on this, I believe they are an official affiliate of Lego, and they make these.
Please, Wicked Brick, please sponsor our podcast.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. How many times have you thought, I'd really like that Lego set, but I just don't know where I'd put it, like the Lego Titanic or whatever. They make cases that are extremely high quality out of, I believe, CNC'd acrylic, and put it together yourself. It ships flat. They were a little delayed because of supply shortages, but I just got it. It's now right behind me here on the IKEA cubby. They make lighting kits that you can buy to put inside the sets if you'd like.
That's cool.
So yeah, it looks really nice, and we'll let you know when the unboxing and assembly video comes out.
One of the cool ones that I saw was for the AT-ATs, the walkers from Star Wars, and I think it was the UCS AT-AT, where the footprint was actually pre-cut out because the base of the display is white for snow, for Hoth, where we see the AT-ATs, and the base is already cut out. So the foot of the AT-AT actually sits down inside the white base plate for the snow, as if it had sort of stamped down into the snow. I just like little details. And then they put a little mount for like the placards and the minifigures. They cover everything. Yeah, if you go through the photos, the feet are actually down in the white base of that, which I thought was so cool. Clever.
Yeah, I don't think that's the Ultimate Collector Series AT-AT, but
maybe not.
The regular AT-AT, it does do that for. They do, however, have one for the UCS AT-AT, but it doesn't look like it's
maybe not
in the snow. No, it is. You're right. Yeah, look, the little footprints.
Oh yeah, they've even for the little guns and the in the snow and everything. So everything just settles down. Super clever. Like clearly very big Lego fans are designing this stuff, because that's something that they're like, oh man, it would look so much cooler if it was actually down in the snow.
Well, something I wanted to show you guys for the case I got, you can choose your background. So you can choose the Cloud City clouds, the hyperspace, the stars sort of moving in hyperspace.
Ooh. Very cool.
The static Starry Night, or hyperspace going the wrong way.
Well, I knew you would have picked hyperspace, especially with the blue in there. You're a big blue fan. That looks really good.
Yeah. So anyway, really cool quality. I mean, this is like magnetized and lays on the black acrylic. It's just like a clear plastic thing with the part number, and then a little display stand for the minifigs that come with it. Just super high quality. So anyway, excited to share that video with you all. You guys know I'm a huge Adam Savage fan, and I'm trying to do my own version of his one day builds. So excited for that to come together. Anyway.
Yeah,
that's cool.
You must have linked to that through Instagram, because when I logged into the front, I don't have a private Instagram. So when I logged into our Instagram, they were like all over in the ads. And so I made sure that now I'm pulling up the website, looking at all this stuff going, I'm going to need that one. I'm going to need that one. I'm going to need that one eventually. Because some of the things, just looking at a ship, some of them lend themselves to being stored. Like if you think of Kylo Ren's shuttle and the two giant wings can fold up and create a triangle, that sort of lends itself to sitting on a shelf nicely. Some stuff, the UCS Millennium Falcon is way too big. It would be a large chunk of a dining table. And so for Corey to be able to prop that up on its side just makes so much more sense. And you get to see a lot more detail, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is like super, super cool stuff. So Wicked Brick, please sponsor our podcast.
Yeah, but those people making little food are crazy.
They sure are. So speaking of food and interesting products that I never really thought about. So I've been I've been eating a lot more salads recently.
Sorry.
So it's all right. But so my wife came home the other day with this product that basically chemically turns your toilet bowl into a nonstick surface. So that's interesting.
Tell us more.
I don't think there's more to tell. That's all there is to it. There's no story there. The poop spatula doesn't need to be used quite as often these days.
You know, that episode about peculiar family stories that we've been wanting to do for 2.5 years.
Right.
Long-time listeners of the cast will appreciate that little reference. So good on you for the salads, man. That's good.
Yeah, I'm not actually eating a whole lot of salads, but we do have a Teflon coated toilet bowl now. So that's fun.
Word.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Apparently it makes cleaning easier. So
I thought this was a joke about depending on the diet, you might not even need to worry about things sticking to the bowl.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Sorry to get gross.
Well,
it was a joke. It was in my idea thought a funny way to introduce you to a product that I thought was funny that it even existed and that we actually have in our household. Something. I mean, there's all kinds of gimmicks out there to try to make toilet cleaning easier. So of course somebody came up with a way to coat the inside of your toilet bowl with some kind of weird enamel material.
Speaking of unique toilet products, we did get some traction with our tweets about Poopery, which Dylan says smells like Fruity Pebbles, and they admitted he's not wrong. And I love that product. 3 sprays on the top before you do number 2, and no one would even know you were in there, which for some of us is an impressive feat.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty interesting stuff. Creates this like oily force field that allows poop through, but then it like and it closes in behind the poop as it lets the poop through. Yeah. So any poop companies out there?
This is the part of the podcast where I take off the jacket that has the logo for the company I work for. So
this also feels like part of the reason why we say we're a mostly family-friendly comedy podcast.
Oh, come on. Everybody poops.
That's true. There's even
true.
books.
Read it in a book. Yeah, exactly. You know, I keep trying to get my kids to stop making poop jokes, and I keep trying to get them to stop saying "but" and then laughing all the time. And I understand why it's so difficult for them because it's
difficult for adults too, kids.
Yeah,
no, it's true. This feels like something I've said, Corey. We've discussed many times. Also, myself with several listeners of the show. If you've listened to a couple Tangents episodes, my friend Brad, Tom is a listener. We've discussed this many times. Sort of having the mental capacity, sort of having the sense of humor of approximately a 12 to 15-year-old, but still being responsible in all the ways that you need to be responsible. Still working hard, paying your bills, making sure there's food in the fridge. You know, and I feel like that's the balance, right? If I can still make poop jokes, but I still work hard and pay my bills and can be an adult when I need to be, that's the right balance. That's where I want to be. I don't want to be serious all the time. That's not fun.
More career advice coming right after these messages from one of our friends in the Odd Pods Media Network.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, boy.
I felt like a strong first half. It's probably going to suck.
Hi, I'm Tina Jaramillo.
And I'm Hillary Doherty.
And we host the Muck Podcast, where we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics.
Hey, Tina, did you know that Elvis crashed the Nixon White House for the sole purpose of getting a DEA badge, and it worked?
What? Or how a gun control advocate senator out of California engaged in gun trafficking with notorious gang leader Shrimp Boy.
Shrimp Boy, I remember him. Okay, so, you know, we cover all of that and more from maladies, madness, mischief, and murder in U.S. politics.
And we also host a bi-weekly interview segment called Lil Muck.
We interview politicians, journalists, activists, and others who share their experiences in politics.
Find the Muck Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts and check us out on social media at the Muck Podcast.
So then I found out that the reason why they call them impossible meatballs is because you can't have plant-based meatballs because plants don't have balls. That's where it comes from. But who do have balls are Italians, and that's why Italian meatballs exist and are delicious.
I hear they're really salty.
Yeah.
But are they sweaty?
The impossible meatballs, that is, really salty.
Can I show you guys this this pepper that my wife got?
Okay.
How do I describe that? For the those only listening, it's like somebody took a little mini peach and stuck a little doggy tail in between the crack.
Okay.
Yeah,
like
that's
one
way.
Like a little puppy tail. Imagine that.
Another way to describe it might be exactly like male genitalia, but in yellow pepper form.
Right.
I went with the puppy tail.
Okay. So there's news that was coming out today.
Mm-hmm.
There's a company called Kitch, Kytch,
Okay.
who is currently suing McDonald's. Kitch, I'm reading from an article from Wired.com, says late Tuesday night, Kitch filed a long-expected legal complaint against McDonald's, accusing the company of false advertising and tortious interference in its contracts with customers. Kitch's co-founders, Melissa Nelson and Jeremy O'Sullivan, are asking for no less than $900 million in damages. Now, here's where it gets interesting and relevant to our podcast. Since 2019, Kitch has sold a phone-sized gadget designed to be installed inside McDonald's ice cream machines. Those Kitch devices would intercept the ice cream machine's internal communications and send them out to a web or smartphone interface to help owners remotely monitor and troubleshoot the machine's many foibles, which are so widely acknowledged that they've become a full-blown meme among McDonald's customers. There's a company that used technology to fix McDonald's ice cream machines, and McDonald's is trying their hardest, has in effect pulled the plug on this company, and which I find very interesting. Apparently, there's been a company by the name of Taylor who makes their ice cream machines along with all kinds of other machines that McDonald's has. And my understanding of this is there's this kind of like what do they call it, a symbiotic relationship where McDonald's is like the whale and Taylor is like the bacteria that is eating bad things out of the whale pores or whatever. And so in other words, if McDonald's doesn't exist, Taylor doesn't exist. And so Taylor, it is now being said, McDonald's is saying that Taylor is developing a product that does the same thing that Kitch's product does. And that's part of this lawsuit. And they sent out a whole bunch of emails to owners of McDonald's because this thing was getting popular among the franchise owners for McDonald's, this Kitch device. And they all received an email from their bosses at McDonald's saying, hey, uninstall these things immediately because it's causing like potential harm to our customers. Which Kitch is like, yeah, you're making that up. That's not true.
I'm so glad you brought this up, Kendall, because this is an ongoing topic for our podcast. I believe it was either Greg Lawrence or Charles Martindale a while ago who shared the article I'm sharing now from April 20th, Dylan's birthday of 2021, about this couple and how they tried to get this workaround for the Taylor machines. And McDonald's went after them hard.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad to hear that there's been some progress in the lawsuit. This rabbit hole just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. I've had 2 McDonald's experiences lately.
One was like at 9:00 p.m. I just wanted some. Sherry and I each wanted some DQ. They were closed early for some reason, so I swang through the McDonald's drive-through and started by saying, "Assuming your milkshake machine is broken or not working," and they said, "That's correct. Sorry." So I just pulled around. And then the next time I went to our hometown, Ada, Ohio, and did the same thing. I'd really like a medium chocolate milkshake, but I assume your milkshake machine is down. They said, "Nope, it's working just fine. We'll have that at the window." I was shocked. But yeah, this is an ongoing thing. There's a lot going on here. They don't want us to know the depths that this thing really goes.
So I was trying. That's so funny that you brought this article up because yes, we've had Midler's listeners share stories like this before, but I hadn't fully grasped it. So today I was reading an article about this very thing, and I'm trying to understand how is it mutually beneficial? Like what's really going on? So I guess McDonald's and Taylor, this company that make the machines, go so far back. McDonald's doesn't want to use a different company or doesn't want Taylor to go under for any reason. And Taylor also sells machines to other companies whose machines don't break all the time, but it's so lucrative to Taylor to continue to fix the ice cream machines. It's become a large source of revenue. So a third-party company tried to fix it cheaply, which is not good because then Taylor's not getting a bunch of service revenue off of McDonald's franchises. But the theory continues that there must be a large chunk of this original purchase and service revenue that's somehow getting kicked back to like very high level McDonald's executives. And so McDonald's doesn't want Taylor to go away. Taylor's selling this one specific model that's more faulty or something only to McDonald's. McDonald's just allows the machines to be broken a lot so that they can be fixed a lot so that Taylor makes a lot of money and likely is getting kicked back for it. So that's the whole kind of like, well, why would they even want to do that? Don't you think upsetting customers would be worse than just letting this Taylor company go? Because apparently McDonald's hasn't even tried to replace the Taylor machines.
So franchise owners, if you open a McDonald's franchise right now, you actually have an option. You can buy the Taylor machine or there is another company.
Okay.
That you can buy a machine from, but it has to be one of those two.
Yeah.
And well, I'd imagine that Taylor sweetens the deal because Taylor is providing a couple of the other machines as well.
And that makes sense, though, because those are even franchises versus like corporate stores. So maybe this is a deal on like the corporate stores where they're going to use the Taylor machines. And we would never really know from the outside looking in, which is unless you walk in and you see a plaque like this location is a franchise owned by so-and-so. We wouldn't really know or care. We just see them all as McDonald's.
Yeah. So I didn't watch the movie, the 2017 movie, The Founder with Michael Keaton to know enough about the McDonald's franchise. But the way I always understood it was Ray Kroc, who bought out the McDonald's brothers, was a struggling milkshake machine salesman. And the McDonald's brothers, had no interest in, this is all true. The McDonald's brothers had no interest in franchising, but Kroc was like, I'll buy you out. I'll sell more milkshake machines. So this goes back to the OGs. And I think there's something that was started even then. I wouldn't be surprised to figure out that Kroc's milkshake machine company became Taylor.
that could be like the relationship from the very beginning, and it spun off and become its own name, but there's such an investment that these two conspiracy theories aren't hard to believe when the most obvious reason for the theory is money. Because then you go, well, yeah, of course they would do it for money. Like I don't have to be hard sold on why they might be doing that thing.
What gets me is one of the big complaints that Taylor and McDonald's have had against Kitsch has been that the way their machine works is it is intercepting like proprietary information that's used to run the machine. And so the machine goes on like an automated cleaning cycle that takes like hours and hours and hours. to go through. And if anything goes wrong in that process, like the machine shuts down and it can only be fixed by a Taylor technician at that point. And the Kitsch machine that you can plug in to your Taylor ice cream machine is intercepting all of that information and then like giving it to you, the person who owns the machine. And so McDonald's or Taylor doesn't like that because they're saying that that's their proprietary information that this thing is intercepting. Meanwhile, Taylor magically is coming up with the exact same kind of machine to add on to their machines after Kitsch has already been out and distributed. And so who's stealing whose product? And the second thing that I think comes into play here is the relatively recent right to repair legislation that's up and about now, and which basically says like, no, they bought the machine, so anything that's in the machine, including the software, belongs to the franchise owner. Doesn't belong to Taylor. That machine does not belong to Taylor. It belongs to the franchise owner. They own that software. They can manipulate that software however they want to. Whereas before that could have been seen as not necessarily illegal, but companies were definitely thinking about car manufacturers who try to make things in a way so that like you and I can't fix our own car. Now they legally have to let us like at least try it. Like it opens up the third party people to be able to do some more stuff, which is a good thing for us.
We're on to something. And if this is somehow mysteriously the last episode of our podcast, all of us are in perfect health. None of us are feeling suicidal. We're all, if we go dark next week, please pass on our story and our message.
The truth should get out. And Kendall, I remembered a while ago in the group text, you shared that food theory video, McDonald's broken on purpose. They want it broken on purpose to just everything you're saying. Because here's what I'm an idiot, right? But I'm a simple guy. I try to break things down so that I understand them. If one of the most successful franchises on planet Earth had a machine that was continually breaking as much as these restaurants claim that they're breaking, wouldn't they be finding something else? So the fact that there's a whole website called McBroken, the fact that it's like 50 and 40% of machines are actually working. In any other industry, a 50% uptime for a machine would be, you'd be hiring the next company as fast as humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I've heard that at any given moment, as many as 25%. That like right now, it's estimated that 25% of McDonald's is out there cannot serve ice cream right now.
Yeah. Shake Shack, Steak and Shake, Burger King, DQ, Wendy's, all of them seem to have frozen shake type things all the time. If it really was that bad and you were any reasonable business, not only would you try to find another solution, if you couldn't, you would quit selling that product entirely. You wouldn't even stock up on the supplies to sit by a broken machine. You would just say, we don't sell ice cream anymore. Moving on.
It's why franchise owners want the Kitsch product.
Sure. Makes total sense.
Because they make a lot more money if their ice cream machine is working all the time. It's weird that the company they're contracted with is trying to undercut their business.
Did we just become a true crime podcast?
Yep. If you or someone you know works at a McDonald's that would be willing to talk to us, please email us at fromthemiddle@protonmail.com. That's fromthemiddle@protonmail.com. And I would like to repeat what Dylan said earlier. I am perfectly healthy. I have no aspirations of ending my life prematurely. I've never thought about it, not once ever. Everything's fine on my end. I had a beautiful day on Saturday. Love to tell you guys more about it. So everything's fine. Everything is just fine over here. So if something happens to me, That's what's up.
If you or anyone you know struggles with mesothelioma, so Saturday, I don't know. I always saw that. I don't even know what that disease is. I always saw that like
Diabetes.
Homesick from school, and you'd have all the judge shows, and then there was always the commercials that were like spray and pray for these people with industrial, accidents or who worked in factories and have a horrible cough or
the daytime stuff. The Price is Right commercials. Hey, you're homesick.
Yeah. Gosh, I love Price
Here's
is Right.
a commercial for you.
So Corey, what did you do? Speaking of non-weekday things, what did you do on Saturday? You said
no. It was the most beautiful day that we have had in Central Ohio in months and months and months. And for people who live in beautiful places year round, you just can't appreciate what it's like for us in the Nordics who sorry,
taking it a little far.
Bad timing. So it was just so nice, 70 degrees. I got out on the bike. There's this one route that I take that goes by a reservoir, and there were families out. There were parents walking babies in strollers. There were bikes and motorcycles. People were on the water in kayaks and sailboats. There were families having picnics under, and it just felt so nice after months and months and months of cold and wet and gray. And it just made me really excited for spring, and it just infused some hope and joy into my life. And I definitely needed it. Did you guys enjoy any of the beautiful Saturday weather?
Yeah. And I even noticed it wasn't us. I even noticed somebody in our neighborhood. I could smell them grilling. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah, it was we went for a nice long walk. We played outside for a little bit. It was a good time.
Indeed. I got my first bit of fishing for the season on Saturday. Nice. So yeah. It wasn't all that serious. It was literally like we were taking kids to the park. That park has a pond, and I just like put on a couple lures on a couple poles and just went out there. But
I always get oddly excited on that first nice day because you pretty much ignore your lawn and all the limbs that have fallen in high winds. And you're like, well, we'll get to that after the snow thaws and on that first nice day. But it was so beautiful and the sun was out that I was like, I'm getting on the bike. I'll do that a different day. That's the day that's the day I went out on the bike and put this thing together and did some other projects around the house. But man, it really does. It lifts my spirits. It was so nice. Makes me want to live in a place that's like that all the time. But I do love Ohio. Speaking of loving Ohio, we did a family outing. All 5 of us went to the Ohio State versus Michigan men's basketball game, the last basketball game of the regular season. Michigan played a much better game and won. But it was a beautiful time taking the kids. Sherry's idea, of course. It was a beautiful time taking the kids to an Ohio State men's basketball game at the Schottenstein Center, almost completely packed house, to what was a very, very exciting game. There was a lot of back and forth. It was pretty close the whole game until Michigan broke away at the end. So the kids got to see like a really hyped student section and a really loud arena and what it's like when the announcer's like, let's make some noise. And just the whole place gets fired up, much like what you were describing, Kendall, about taking your kiddos to see the Blue Jackets play a few weeks ago. So that was a lot of fun. And it made Sherry go, yeah, we should do this at least once a year, the 5 of us, and at least a couple times a year for the 3 out of the 5 that really enjoyed it. I'll let you guess. I'll let you guess which 2 could have taken or left the basketball game. I will say, last thing, the halftime show is this woman that calls herself Red Panda, who sits atop a 10 or 12-ish foot unicycle. So she's already riding on a unicycle. Impressive. Then she rides the unicycle with 1 foot, maintaining her balance with only 1 foot, while an assistant from the ground throws her up like plastic bowls. She catches the bowls, and with the foot that she's not using to pedal the unicycle 10 feet off the ground, she puts 1 bowl on her head and then another bowl on her foot that's not pedaling. And she balances herself, flips the bowl, and lands in the bowl that was already on her head. Then they throw her 2 bowls. So she has 2 on her head. Now she has 2 on her foot. She flips the 2, but they're not. One's not nested inside the other. It's inverted on top.
Ooh.
So she gets the rotation right. So now 2 bowls. 3 bowls. She stacks 3 bowls on top of her foot, balanced on her shin. 3 bowls, flips them. The rotation of all 3 lands in the top of the stack. 4 bowls. 4 bowls. She gets 4.
You're not
bowls.
gonna guess what happens next. 4 bowls.
I'm hanging. I'm. Come on! What happens to the 4th bowl?
Then
Yeah.
5 bowls
What? No.
stacked
No.
invertedly. The rotation all perfect. She didn't get all 5.
Shoot.
She dropped some. But her music, you could tell she was only allotted a certain chunk of halftime, and she was telling her assistant, I'm going to keep trying. So she kept still every time she rode by the student section, they're like, Red Panda. Like they love her over there in the student section. Super impressive, entertaining game. Good time with the family. Really enjoyed.
That is,
And-
I feel like that's more impressive if you don't try the 5 bowls. If you just stop at 4 and take a bow, and people are like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then the moment you try that 5th bowl, there are some people that are like, oh, must be an off day.
The guy behind me was like, she's not going to get it because she tried 3 or 4 times. He's like, she's not going to get it. It's not her day.
I'm just kind of disappointed she wasn't Scarlet Panda. Like that just felt like the Scarlet and Gray, Scarlet Panda, whatever.
So that
Well,
was fun. It was, we made some
sounds
good
lovely.
memories, even though Ohio State lost.
Beautiful. I get it.
Yeah. Anything else, fellas?
I think that's it.
It was fun
All
catching
right.
up.
Hey,
But
sure was.
we need to do a quick plug for our good friends over at Ardius Man.
We do.
If you don't know who Ardius Man is, you need to stop what you're friggin' doing right now. I mean, unless you're driving, don't stop.
I
that,
mean,
but, like,
continue listening to the podcast.
continue listening to the podcast. Okay, several things you shouldn't stop for.
Multitask here.
Multitask. Yes, do that. So ARTIUSMAN.com, artiusman.com, an incredible local business, tons of awesome products. Apparently, I said it weird last week. So I'm going to start with they have candles and men's grooming products. They have bath products and beard oils. Some incredibly nice stuff. Go there and use the promo code The Middle. Put a couple $1,000s worth of stuff in your cart, but then use promo code The Middle, and guess what? You're going to save 25% off that couple $1,000s. You're going to get incredible stuff that you can gift throughout the year. It helps us. It's certainly going to help you. It's going to help Ardius Man. Win, win, win all the way around. Go do that. Promo code The Middle. Save 25% off your first order. They have incredible stuff. So definitely go check out our good friends over at Ardius Man. Anything that you guys want to add? Any favorite scents or aromas that you want to throw in for Ardius Man?
So, Citrus Fire is my aroma of choice, and I've been using beard oil and beard balm for a long time now. Now, I am a guy who has sensitive skin that dries out and rashes up very easily, and I have a scalp that gets mad at me if I do the wrong things to it. And I've tried a lot of products out there. And so weeks ago, Dylan had some shampoo and conditioner and body wash that he was giving away to either myself or Corey. And I told him to give it to Corey because I have my routine, because I've got these problems and whatever. But then shortly after that, I get an email from Ardius Man that is promoting their new tea tree mint body bar. And I start reading about this thing, and they were throwing in that bar if you bought some other product. I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. So I bought the tea tree mint shampoo and conditioner, and I got the body bar. And now for the past like week and a half, 2 weeks, I've been using that combo in my shower. It smells wonderful. You get that great, like minty kind of tingly feeling. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And my skin and my scalp have been happy with me. So
Wonderful. A lot of that you
Fun.
get when a lot of the Artius Man stuff uses real essential oils, and so that's what gives you that sort of nice sensation. If that whatever you were, I don't know how you describe it, tingly.
Yeah, it's like a tingle.
It's like a nice little clean tingle.
It's like a Peter tingle.
It's like a Peter tingle. It's like
okay.
It's like the Peter tingle from Spider-Man.
From Spider-Man.
Sure.
Do you want to be like Spider-Man? Do you want to feel what it's like to have a Peter tingle? Well, get yourself some frickin' tea tree mint and let your Peter tingle.
And it's all friggin' made in the USA. So
We're going to lose this relationship with Artie.
Imagine me waving a giant American flag as you hear me say this.
Do you think we're blowing smoke, folks? Do you think this is on a script? If this were scripted, would we have said Peter Tingle? No.
Good Lord.
This is our own personal testimonials. We just want you to try this stuff.
Artius Man is not running scripts with phrases like Peter Tingle.
Yeah. I'm just thankful that the suffix of that word was monials.
Anyways, they seriously make some incredible stuff. Go check them out. We like to have fun with it, but they're a great partner, and we're really glad to work with them. So go check out Artius Man.
Check out our YouTubes. I've been tearing it up on Warzone. I've had some victories over there. I had a 10 kill victory and a 13 kill second place. Also checked out Midbits, where Kendall is going to post the video of me putting together this Wicked Brick case, and when I try to be like Adam Savage. So check out our YouTubes.
Please do.
Okay. Bye.